My name's Sonu Lamba, and today we're making tofu scramble. Now this is the simplest tofu scramble you're ever gonna make. Both my kids eat this scramble. One of my kids loves veggies, and the other one does not. So this scramble has garlic, it has onion, but I'm using dried garlic and dried onion, just so it doesn't get in my older son's mouth, because once he tastes that, he's not gonna eat it. So texturally, this is very, very simple. If your kids have favorite veggies that they love, add whatever you'd like. Broccoli works, mushrooms, carrots, kale. So I'm using, the only veggie I'm gonna add is chard because both my kids eat it. And it's gonna add a nice green color, and it's very, very nutritious. But very simple recipe today. We need a brick of tofu. This is extra firm tofu. We're gonna use some onion powder, some garlic powder, and finally, my favorite, nutritional yeast. So what's nutritional yeast? Nutritional yeast is deactivated yeast that a lot of vegetarians and vegans add to their meal to give a creamy, cheesy flavor. It adds this wonderful crust, and nothing beats the tang of nutritional yeast. So we're gonna use about maybe 3 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And then we're also gonna use some avocado oil, which will be our fat source. So let's get started. We are gonna be using our extra firm tofu. So we're gonna head over to the sink. I'm gonna cut this out, rinse it, and I'm gonna use about half a brick. So normally for my whole family, I'd probably use the whole pack, but today I'm only making half a pack because I made some yesterday and I already have leftovers. So this will probably serve about 2 people. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my extra firm tofu. I'm gonna take it out of the package, give it a rinse, and I'm gonna use half the package. And I think the extra firm tofu is definitely the one to use. Don't use silken or soft or even firm. You do wanna have a little bite to your tofu. It's more similar to a scrambled egg type consistency. Okay, so I'm gonna take this out. There it is. I'm gonna give it a rinse. Wonderful. And I'm gonna cut it in half. Okay, so I'm gonna add half in my bowl here. The other half I will package away. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crush this here. So I am going to take it and I'm going to just grind it up like this, mush it up. Get it as fine as you can. If it's too cold out of the fridge, rinse it with hot water so it's not the water temperature isn't freezing on your hands. Okay, that looks great to me. So gonna wash my hands. And next we're gonna add some garlic powder, onion powder, and nutritional yeast. That's the most basic recipe you'll find for tofu scramble. Okay, welcome back. So we're gonna add half a teaspoon of onion powder and half a teaspoon of garlic powder. So I know how much this is, but definitely measure it out. So half a teaspoon. Awesome. Half a teaspoon of my garlic powder. Wonderful. Okay, and I'm gonna add a tablespoon and a half of my nutritional yeast. Depending on how tart and cheesy you like it, you can always taper this up or down. So this is 1 heaping tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Okay, so that's 1.5 tablespoons. So I will add more if I feel it needs more later on. I'm gonna take my fork and I'm gonna mash it up just like this. So tofu is a great medium. It is very bland on its own, which is awesome because it acts like a sponge. You can add whatever you want to this. Sometimes I've added herb de Provence. I've added harissa to this. Za'atar is really amazing too. You can also make this kind of like a Mexican seasoning and add your own chili powder or taco seasoning. Equally delicious. And if you're Indian, you can actually add tandoori paste or tandoori powder to this. Still very, very delicious. Okay, next, half a teaspoon of salt and just a little bit of pepper. Okay. The only other ingredient that we're going to add to this once it starts cooking is turmeric. So turmeric is a root. It's this very potent yellow spice right here. And I want my tofu scramble to kind of mimic an egg. And eggs can be yellow. And so I'm going to add a little bit of turmeric. Note, turmeric is actually very, very good for you. This is awesome for our immune system. Just be careful when you're buying it. I have a brand that I like to buy on Amazon. It's organic, it's non-GMO, and it's really high quality turmeric. Okay, so a couple tablespoons of avocado oil, probably 2. Great. So let's go ahead and add our scramble in. I'm gonna keep this on medium heat. I'm gonna put my lid on because I also want it to steam. So the goal is to brown the bottom bits and to steam the whole thickness of the tofu through. So keep the lid on 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna add some turmeric and flip it. Time for our chard. Okay, so when you're using chard, you can definitely add the whole thing if you're making a soup or a stew. For this recipe, I'm gonna remove the central vein. That is this reddish, thick, fibrous stem right here that you can see. So I'm just gonna take it. Okay, so there's my stem, and I'm gonna chiffon out this, so thin little strips. And this is gonna help add a wonderful green color and then just some texture in my scramble. And if you like it coarse, you can keep it coarse, but this looks perfect to me. Okay, in 1 more minute, we're gonna go ahead and just gently turn our scramble. And we love eating tofu scramble. So weekends are for tofu scramble. We love our Beyond sausage. We love getting some fresh sourdough bread. And it's a great breakfast for us. Okay, I think it's time for us to turn this. So take my lid off. I'm gonna take a look. I like how the edges are kind of getting crispier. I like how the oil has kind of gone all the way to the periphery of this. I'm gonna go ahead, take this, and you can kind of see those yellow-brown bits. That's what you want. Wonderful. And definitely use a non-stick pan. Do not use cast iron, and do not use stainless steel. Turmeric time. So I'm gonna add a pinch of turmeric just for color. Now, you can add more turmeric for health reasons. Turmeric has to be cooked for a long time or it becomes bitter. So in my scramble, I want the nutritional yeast, the garlic, and the onion to be the main flavors, not the bitter turmeric. So I'm adding just a pinch of turmeric, just for color. So here it is. I'm adding it in. That's more than enough. Just want it to get a little bit of a yellow hue. And I'm gonna cook this in, and I want this to cook into it now. 2 to 3 minutes. Turmeric is great for Indian cooking. We use a ton of it in all our curries. And we cook our curries down a lot. So the turmeric cooks evenly, and it adds a wonderful flavor in the end. Okay, I'm gonna put my lid back on, 2 to 3 more minutes, and then after that, we're gonna go ahead, put our chard in, give it a mix, and we're done. Thank you guys. If you're enjoying any aspect of my channel, definitely hit that subscribe button, lower left corner, and give me a like. All right, so our scramble has been cooking an additional 2 to 3 minutes on the other side on low heat. So the first round of 2 to 3 minutes was medium heat. Now it's on low heat. Okay, so I'm gonna take my lid off, take a look. This looks wonderful to me. I like how these edges have their own texture. If you flip it, they have these crispy bits. This is awesome. This is how it needs to be. You don't want it to be soggy. You want it to have a little bite to it. And that's why we're using that extra firm tofu. Okay, finally, we are gonna add that Swiss chard. In it goes. And at this point, I'm gonna turn my heat off, and I'm gonna put the lid on, just like that. And I'm gonna mix it up in another 2 minutes. Now, I like to serve this with some fresh slices of avocado, and I like to dress it up with my own textures. So this is how my kids love to eat it. I like to add my own seeds to it. What do I like to add? I love adding some watermelon seeds. I also love some sprouted pumpkin seeds. You can add sunflower seeds. You can even add nuts, just so it has a crunch on the top. And finally, I love my hemp. So I love adding some hemp seeds too. Welcome back. Time to try our scramble. So I'm gonna take some scramble out. So I added about 1.5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and I tried this just a few seconds ago, and it was perfectly cheesy and tart for me. So I would recommend, if you're gonna use half a tofu package, use 1.5 tablespoons of the nutritional yeast, just like I did. Try it, and if it tastes perfect, let it be. If you want it to be a little cheesier, then you can go ahead and add a little bit more, and I would add it now and just mix it in. It doesn't have to cook. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a serving here. Great. Okay. So to this, I like to add some crunchy toppings. Sprouted pumpkin seeds are so good for you. I love them. I love the color. There's my pumpkin seeds. With my watermelon seeds. Finally, can't go wrong with hemp. There's my hemp seeds. So this is how I love to eat it. So we're gonna go in there, let's give it a try. That is so naturally garlicky. Onions I can taste from the onion powder, and this really gives it a nice punch. So it tastes cheesy, There's no cheese in it. So if you're doing plant-based or you're trying to lower your dairy intake, this is a great substitute for cheese. This is so wonderful. It really is. You could have this with some sourdough bread. You could make some potatoes on the side, some veggie sausage. This is delicious. You could also make this like a egg salad sandwich the next day. So if you have leftovers, you can put veganaise, get your bread. You can put some tofu scramble in it and then take it to work. That's also a delicious alternative. So if you have kids that are not into, little pieces of onion and garlic in their breakfast item, try making scramble. It is plant-based, it's ethical, it's very, very smooth, and I think it's delicious. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button.